I'm here with Steve Nicholson, Chief Football Writer at the Derby Telegraph, after the Rams 2-all draw with Watford. Steve, what did you make of that?
Well, I think the initial reaction at the end, obviously, is disappointment because Derby were 2-1 up. They played against 10 men for the whole of the second half, and they couldn't win the game. And unfortunately, now that's 7 games without a win, 3 points from the last 22. That's a very, very damaging run, and it's certainly damaged Derby's hopes of automatic promotion. Watford are a good side, let's say that first of all. They are a good side, they're a very dangerous side as well. Troy Deeney is a good striker, Vidra's another good striker, so they're players you've got to watch. But Derby, again, costly mistake. Cyrus Christie on Watford's first goal. He had 2 opportunities to deal with the ball. Twice he lost the ball and Vidra scored. That's just not good enough. It has to be better than that. And we've seen other mistakes in recent games that have proved costly. Derby needed a break, and they got one right on the stroke of half time. Johnny Russell in the goal scoring position was brought down. Penalty, Motta was sent off, and so Watford with 10 men. Darren Bent, Mr. Cool, dispatched the penalty. He never really looked like he was ever going to miss it. And so 1-1 at half time, knowing they're up against 10 men. Steve McLaren brought on Jess Lingard, went very positive, as he often does, and Tom Ince scored a lovely goal to make it 2-1. At that stage, really, they should go on and win the game. But the ways of going on to win the game, it's not about going gung-ho, let's go and score 3, 4, 5 goals. That's not what going on and win the game is about. Going on and win the game is about managing the game properly so that you do get opportunities to score that 3rd and 4th goal. And for some reason they didn't do that again, and Watford had a good little spell and they got an equaliser, and they've gone away with a point, which for them is an excellent point, and Derby have been left frustrated again. And as I say, they gave their all, the endeavour was there, some of the football was neat. They're still fragile though, and they're still conceding too many goals. And as I say, a point really when you're playing 10 men for a whole of the second half isn't enough.
We saw George Thorne back in the starting lineup tonight. It was a short-lived return, unfortunately, and then Jeff Hendrick and Chris Martin coming back from injury from the bench. Yeah,
we've been waiting all week. Would Thorne play? Would Martin start? Etc. etc. In the end, Thorne started. He's been out for 6 matches, but he's been out, as we know, for 7 months earlier, and he's had a thigh injury, and he started the game. Unfortunately, that's come off before the half-hour mark, and I believe it's a recurrence of the thigh problem. Steve McLaren wouldn't really elaborate on what it was and how long he might be out, but it's not a good sign. George looked a pretty forlorn character walking down the tunnel, to be replaced by Jeff Hendrick. So that doesn't look good news. Jeff came on, as I say, so it's good to see him back. Chris Martin was a substitute, started as a substitute, and he came on to a huge roar from the fans. Derby have really missed Chris Martin, and there were 1 or 2 little signs from him. He's going to be rusty, he's been out for 2 months, it's a long time, but the little signs of a clever play, and he put Darren Bent in for a good chance at 2-2, which would have won the game. Unfortunately, the keeper saved it. So yeah, it's good to see Chris Martin back, but it's a blow for George Thorne.
The result tonight has put Derby back in the playoff places on goal difference, but the gap between them and the top 2 is looking like a big one at the moment.
Yeah, the gap between them and the top 2 is now 6 points with 6 games left, and the odds obviously are stacked massively against Derby. Maybe the best thing for us all to do now is to say, hey, let's forget about that. Let's look at the top 6, let's make sure we're in the playoffs, because at the moment we're only in the playoffs by virtue of goal difference, so they've got to do something about that. They need to find some form, they need to find some wins. That will then boost confidence, and as we know, if you can go into the playoffs with confidence, that's a huge boost. But at the moment, top 2 is looking a long way off. It's not mathematically impossible, the race isn't run yet as such, so you've always got an opportunity, but they're going to have to win a game very soon.